fucking caption that shit, bro. You see that? That's the new snippet. That's what food's about, bro. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Sunday Sessions. It's me, your boy, Big Hass, and today we're doing another Cypriot classic. We're making MAKERNA FIRINDA, which is a layer of minced beef, parsley and onions, then some cooked pasta, then a rich, cheesy, beautiful bechamel sauce on top, gets baked in the oven. Sounds weird. I'm gonna show you this and you're gonna be like, I'm fucking making that. This is a dish that we grew up on kids. Cypriot staple celebratory dinner, one that my mum made and perfected. And then when I wrote my book, me and my mum came together and did a recipe, and I added some bits in that aren't traditional, but help. So let's start off with the things that take the longest to cook. So we're gonna go onions first. I've got a pan on a medium heat, good glug of olive oil. I know that looks like a lot of olive oil, but I've cut 4 entire white onions and we need them to fry and not just sit in fucking oily water. So, pan on, 4 roughly diced. It's not fine diced. There's some bits that are still stuck together. I don't care. This is Cypriot food, food of necessity, things you've got lying around the house. We're not looking for brownie points, right? We're looking for flavor and scrumptiousness. Onions go in. That's right, salt's next. Anytime you put onion in a pan, I want a big fucking crack of salt. The onions, I want to cook for about 15 to 20 minutes, translucent, sweet, not adding any sugar to them, just letting base ingredients do what base ingredients need to do. In this bag, I have 1.2 kilos of beef mince, yeah? So, we're cooking the onions first, then we're gonna cook the beef mince. But before that, I'm gonna start chopping up this parsley. Stalks and all, just take the lower ends off. And the parsley's gonna run through our meat and our onions. And this is gonna be the herb factor of the dish, right? That's one bunch. And I'm gonna do the second bunch as well. Just because, basically, right, this is a dish that you're gonna make in a big tray. Imagine it was like a lasagna. I grew up in a family of 5, so this makes, I'd say 10 portions. If you don't wanna make 10 portions, everything I tell you to do, halve it, and then you've got enough for 5. But it's one of those dishes, and again, like most dishes in Cyprus, it's served the first day and then it's served again the next day, but with a new garnish, right? So I like to eat it the next day. Once everyone's taken their slice out of it and you put it back in the oven, you get like crispy bits of pasta and the cheese sauce cooks again and the bits of meat start to golden brown in the bottom of the pan. Doesn't matter. If you've got people coming over, this is a great little recipe to make for a Cypriot dinner party. Right, parsley is chopped, right? Now it looks like loads, but again, this is food of simple ingredients. Just gonna cover it with this tray so it doesn't fucking blow away because we're cooking outside. Onions are slowly starting to get in there. The salt's helped them break down. There's a nice color from the amount of olive oil that we've used. And I can smell the sweetness in the air. So, please, when making this, ladies and gentlemen, buy minced meat from the butchers that's already got the right amount of fat in it. I wouldn't recommend buying mince from the supermarket for anything, right? It's all a bit shitty, it's all watery, there's no fat content, whereas when you go to the butchers, you get mince that looks like this. It looks like real meat. There's bits of fat running through it. So this will be the odds and sods of a bit of beef with the fat through it. And fat equals flavour, yeah? Don't buy that fucking shit supermarket stuff. Tell them Hassan told you. Onions, get nice and sweet, right? Why you couldn't be a boxer? So, onions are just on the point of like, they're about to colour, they're soft, translucent, they're going ever so slightly brown. We don't want them to go any further than this and crisp, otherwise they'll go bitter. So I'm just going to set this to one side in this pan. Now in the same pan back on, another good glug of oil. Full whack. Oh, fucking. Full whack. Let the pan heat up. We're going to go in with our mince, right? Now I want my pan smoking hot. There's a level of moisture in mince. So you will see the stages. It goes in and it starts off to fry really hard and fast, and then it goes while it lets out all of its moisture. We need to cook all of the moisture away in order to brown this and develop flavour. If you put it in and it pisses water and you take it out, you might as well have just put it in fucking raw. You've done nothing to it. We need to take it to that point where it's imparting flavour into our final dish, right? So, pan's hot. I'm kind of just going to season in the bag and stick it in. I just want to break it down with a spoon as it starts to colour, because I want the mince like individual, I don't want it in clumps. And if you look closely, you can see the little pockets of water forming. Those little pockets of water, we need to cook all of that moisture away in order to crisp this mince and build flavour. It's not about the mince goes fucking a different colour, it goes a slight grey and then it's cooked. We're going to take it until it's crispy and delicious, right? Just wait, be patient. There's no fucking rush. If you ever put mincemeat in a pan and it starts to fucking let off all this liquid, no matter what recipe's told you to do it, cook all the liquid off and brown your mince properly. I want it brown as if it was like an old El Paso taco kit. I want it that brown, crispy, right? We've gone from like blip, 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 blip to crackly, crispy frying territory. We're getting brown on our mince. Look, hold on, let me show you. See here? This is what we want, brown, crispy flavour. We've recooked the fat into the mincemeat, right? This is where we want to be at. I want to brown all of this mince off. Cooking's all about triggers, visual, audio. Food tells you what it's up to and what it's doing. You've just got to be in charge of it. Consider yourself the conductor of the orchestra. I've just put shit together, added flavours to it, but the food tells me when to do the next thing, right? And the more you understand ingredients, the more you can push your culinary expertise out and be like, oh, well, I browned the mince off for a ragu, I'm going to brown the mince off for my dan dan noodles. Food all has the same level of language, and it all runs through every recipe you've ever read. So, I'm going to re-incorporate the onion and all the onion oil back into this and let flavours start to marry and understand each other and add and bring something to the table, right? I've got all the onion fat. Let's gonna mix through, and I'm gonna go in with hefty amounts of black pepper, right? 1, 2, 3 big pinches of black pepper. Fry off the black pepper until it's fragrant and in the air. And then we're gonna add all of that fucking parsley. Now we don't want to cook our parsley for long, we want it to stay fresh, green and vibrant. Just picking up the bits of mince from the bottom and putting it back on top, and that little bit of heat is going to help just slowly wilt the parsley down, right? Give this a little taste. Delicious. Salty, parsley, got black pepper, and then what we're going to do is we're going to make this the base layer of our bake, right? Give this a nice even spread in our tray. One thing I want to talk to you lot about is the pasta we're using. This is Turkish pasta, yeah? Made the same way as normal pasta, but this one says FIRINDA, yeah? Which means macaroni that goes in the oven. You can often find this in Greek supermarkets and Turkish supermarkets and Middle Eastern. The Greek ones come in numbers. I'd go for number 2, as long as it's bucatini, but I'll show you. That's what it looks like. So it's quite thin, but it's a holy pasta, yeah? Now, I've only got one big pot in my house, so I'm not gonna bring out the pasta, boil the pasta, throw the pasta water away and blah, blah, blah. They make a bechamel in that pot. So I'm gonna cook this behind the scenes. You need 1.2 kilos, which is 2 and a bit packets, yeah? I'm gonna cook this in there and bring it out, and then we're gonna make a bechamel, bring it all together and fuck it off in the oven. Thank you for watching. I'll be back soon. Punk ass bitch. Boiled my pasta, 8-minute timer. It's inside under cold water. Make sure the water's running, otherwise the pasta's gonna stick together. We're now gonna make a bechamel cheese sauce, one of the 5 sauces that you should know. I don't know what the other 4 are, but one of them is definitely a bechamel. So, 250 grams of butter, 200 grams of flour to create a roux, and then we're gonna go milk, multiple cheeses and a lot of fucking cheese, some nutmeg and a couple of eggs. Then we're gonna build and it goes in the oven. So in here, whole stick of butter, mine's room temp, so it'll come down quicker. There you go, nice splunk of butter. My gas burner outside only does hot, right? So this is gonna melt quicker than usual, but you need to do this nice and slow until the butter's like foaming and beautiful. So it's 250 grams of butter, 200 grams of flour, and we're gonna make a nice light roux, right? Roux don't have to be like thick. Normally when you eye them, they all clump together, but when you measure them, they should be silky and smooth. Now, what you want to do is you want to cook this flour out, which is the thing that us chefs say, but no one actually knows how long it takes to cook the flour out. I just cook mine until it bubbles and goes like 2 shades darker than what it is. So keep it moving, otherwise the flour will stick to the bottom and it'll end up burning. But just want to cook it out, a couple minutes. Je suis allé and let it cook. One of those sauces that you learn to do in college, and then when you get into a fucking restaurant and you've got to make roux and cheese sauce for 150 people, the worst day of your life. The worst day of your life, by far. Making it for 5 people is enough, to be honest. So look, my roux if I stop stirring it, it's starting to bubble, almost foam, right? That's where I cook mine to. Let it foam, and then we're going to go in with our first load of liquid. Now I'm using proper milk, full fat, gold cap. In she goes. Stir that in, and that's going to loosen at first, but then slowly start to thicken. Then we're going to add some more of our milk in. And that's eating up all of our liquid. And you almost want it to look like French restaurant mashed potato. No flour stuck to the bottom of my pan. I'm going to keep incorporating liquid until we've got like a thick liquid, like a cheese sauce or a lasagna is what we're looking for, right? Once it gets too thick to whisk, you go in with the next bit. You know when you hear chefs say velouté, yeah? Velouté is just a roux but made with chicken stock instead of milk. I'll give you that one for free. More milk goes in. Right, so it's taken in all of our liquid. And we're just going to turn it to a low heat and let the flour cook out, right? So, while that happens, I'm going to take this as low as I can. Apparently that's off. Anyway, so when we talk about flour being cooked out, put all the liquid in and then taste it. But as you taste it, run your tongue along the top of your mouth, and it'll have like a grainy, sandy texture. And as we cook it through, that's what we're looking to get rid of, right? So we want it to be completely smooth and not have like a tackiness on your tongue. That's just a helicopter. But you've got a whole lot of cheese grating to do now. So I'd leave it on a low heat, but look after it whilst you grate all of your cheese. I have 600 grams of halloumi, 150 grams of kashar, which is like a stringy Turkish cheese. You can use mozzarella, or you can use a nice cheddar. And then I've got some parmesan, just because I love parmesan and I like to put parmesan in cheese sauces. No matter what the cheese sauce is for, I always feel that I reach for the parmesan. It's one of my favorites. Now we're going to grate. Do you know what? I'm going to do it onto this tray because this bowl is getting my nerves. I'm going to grate halloumi, and I know you lot think halloumi's a grilling cheese, but it's fucking, as Cypriots, we all eat it raw, we grate it into things. It's our go-to, the same way cheddar is the go-to in the UK. In Cyprus, halloumi is the go-to for cheese. I made a sandwich for George today that was halloumi like this, tomato and cucumber, and it was very nice, wasn't it, George? Exactly, George is going, yes. Grate your cheeses. If your cheese doesn't fly around, you're not grating hard or fast enough, yeah? That's what it should look like when you grate cheese. All the cheese is grated except for the parmesan. We're going to do with a microplane at the end. Just going to taste this and see if our flour's cooked out. Smooth, no flouriness, nothing coats my mouth. It's just smooth, milky and buttery. At this point, let's go in with half of our cheese first. So that's the halloumi and the kashar. And we're just going to melt this in. Now, I haven't seasoned my bechamel yet because I'm adding halloumi, I'm adding 3 types of cheese that's already got natural salt in it, right? So we're going to put all of our cheeses in and then season at the end if it needs it. The same way you put a bit of mustard in the end of a bechamel, you always season things that you're putting cheese in last, right? Right, so my cheese is slowly starting to melt. The first batch has gone in. I'm gonna add the next batch in. And then mix this in. And then we're going to go with one of my other favourite cheeses, Parmigiano Reggiano. And the Parmesan will melt a lot quicker than everything else. This is going to give us a saltiness and nuttiness, some extra fat. Right, the cheese has melted enough for it to be stringy. There's still little lumps of halim in it, but it doesn't matter. That's all going to cook through in the oven. Parmesan's gone in. I've got a nutmeg. That's half a nutmeg in, right? Salty, nutmeggy, cheesy, delicious. I'm going to crack in 4 eggs, one at a time. The pan's off the heat, and we're going to whip this in. And then our last egg. The reason we're adding eggs in, right, is that, you know, when you go, if I were to bake this without the eggs in, I wouldn't get like a nice leopard print top. The eggs catch under the heat and give you that lasagna-y top without adding more cheese to it. The cheese sauce has already got enough cheese and we don't want to put any more cheese on top, but the eggs are going to catch and give us like a caramelization. Set this to one side. So we're going to take each tube of pasta individually. And we're going to lay it like so. I'm chatting shit, you're not going to do each one. You're going to take handfuls of pasta. I just want them pointing in the right direction, right? I want them pointing all the same way. And we're going to layer this on top. Nice layer, give it a push down. And then at this point, a couple of knobs of butter, and that's going to seep through to the bottom. A little extra layer of Parmesan. Another layer of our pasta. Another little kiss of Parmesan. And then we're going to pour this beautiful fucking cheese sauce. You can tell I'm struggling. Done this a million times, mate. At this point, get yourself a fucking spatula. Or just scoop it in blind like I am, hoping that you're getting it in. Spent all that time making it, you don't want to fucking lose any. I'll take this bit out of the edit. I'm going to give it a couple knocks, just to make sure it's spread. I'm going to bake this, gas mark 5, 25 to 35 minutes, just until the top goes nice and leopard printy. But you'll see, I'll show you. Fantastic. So here she is in all her glory. It's pitch black outside, I know, but she's baked for 40 minutes, beautiful and gratinated on the top. It's almost a shame to cut her, but someone's got to fucking do it, haven't they? So, that someone is going to be me. Make sure that you're cutting through the pasta. It smells fucking great. Like, you can smell the caramelized cheese. Oh. Tastes exactly how my mum used to make it. Right, so I'm gonna try to do this without making a fucking mess. All the way to the bottom, up. Anything that's in the square that you've left is that person's portion, so make sure it goes onto their plate. Now, this doesn't look fucking great, right? But what I can tell you is that some of the ugliest food in the world is the most fucking delicious. So think of it as, I've got dressed pasta, cheese sauce, and then I've got pepper spiked beef on the bottom. The cheese sauce is seeped all the way through. It's delicious. Now, what I would say to you is, when you do make this, we're battling the elements, right? So the reason that it's runny, it's because it's fresh out of the oven. Let it sit for 15 to 20 minutes and you get nice clean slices out of it, or chill it, then portion it. But if you're making this for your family and you haven't got time for it, serve up a nice acidic salad. I like mine with spicy Turkish ketchup. So like it gives you a little that way. And it's also a thing that we ate as kids all the time. And I was a ketchup fiend, but this is a great like lazy Sunday, go walk your dog, put that in the oven for 45 minutes, come back, the cheesy smell through the house and the beef on the bottom. It's all just fucking great. This reminds me of being a little gluttonous kid and eating it too hot out of the pan. Pasta's really nicely cooked. Beef's beautiful on the bottom, and then you've got all of this cheesy goodness. So many fucking family functions, trips to Cyprus, sitting in people's fucking front porches until the early hours of the morning, chatting shit, catching up with family members you haven't seen in time. This will always be on the table. This is a celebration dish, and you should celebrate life just by cooking it. Thank you so much for watching. It's dark now, I've got to go clean down. Make this one, man. Although it doesn't look fucking, oh my God, show-stopping. It's a clean cut. It's fucking delicious. Cheese, beef, pasta, cream. It's everything you want. Put a little ketchup on it, just believe me. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna box this off, feed this to my family, give George a goodie bag, and walk my dog. There isn't anyone I've serviced to that's been like, oh, that's fucking weird. It's everything you want on a fork. Just stick it in your mouth and shut the fuck up.